A tale of betrayal beneath the waves. In the beginning, before men built kingdoms on land, there was a kingdom beneath the waves. It was called Thesa, a place of beauty and danger. Coral walls shone like fire, pearl streets glowed in the dark, and great whales sang songs of praise to the sea gods. The people there were not like those on land. They were merfolk, half human, half fish, and their laws were older than time. In Thesa, no man had ever ruled. The throne belonged only to women, for the sea gods had spoken long ago, "A daughter shall rule, and through her the tides shall find peace." From each queen came a single child, always a girl. The chosen man of the gods would lie with the queen, and from that union, a princess was born. No one dared question this order. It had never been broken. But fate, like the sea, is full of storms. At this time, Queen Selene sat upon the throne. She was wise, graceful, and loved by her people. Her crown was woven from moon coral, and her voice carried peace through the waters. When she swam through the streets, the people bowed their heads, whispering blessings. She was their light, their mother, their queen. And now, she was expecting a child. Thesa rejoiced. The shells rang with songs, maidens tied glowing kelp ribbons to the currents, and children danced in spirals, waiting for their future queen. She will be strong like her mother, the elders said. She will guide us into another age of peace. But deep in the shadows of the palace, another heart beat with jealousy. Lady Morana, Queen Selene's younger sister, watched with eyes colder than stone. She had always hated the sacred law. Why should only Selene rule? Why should she, Morana, bow to a sister when she too carried royal blood? Envy burned in her chest like a hidden fire. Every cheer for Selene was a wound in her pride. And when she saw the kingdom preparing for the birth of the princess, she whispered in the darkness, "If the gods will not give me the crown, then I shall take it." The night came when the moon hung heavy, its silver light falling on the restless waves. Inside the palace, Queen Selene went into labor. Her cries mixed with the rhythm of the tides. Healers surrounded her, singing prayers to the gods, waiting for the princess who would rule after her. But elsewhere in the palace, in a chamber far below, another cry filled the air. A maid named Heir gave birth to a son. She was weak, poor, and forgotten by many, yet her child came into the world strong and loud. That was when Lady Morana saw her chance. She entered the servants' chamber with silent steps. Her eyes gleamed like a predator's in the dark. When she saw the boy in Heir's arms, her lips curled into a smile. "Perfect," she whispered. "The gods themselves have opened the door for me." At the same time, above them, Queen Selene held her newborn daughter, the true heir of Thesa. She smiled with tears of joy, too tired to know what storm was coming. Morana moved quickly. Like a shadow, she slipped into Selene's chamber while the guards were gone. The queen lay weak, her eyes closing, her arms wrapped around her baby. With cold hands, Morana stole the child and placed Heir's son in her place. The impossible had been done. When morning came, the palace shook with whispers. A son has been born to the queen." Fear spread like waves in a storm. Never in the history of Thesa had a boy been born to a queen. The priests trembled, the elders gasped, and even the sea itself seemed to grow silent. Queen Selene wept, her heart torn. "The gods have betrayed me," she whispered. But hidden in the shadows, Lady Morana smiled. The kingdom did not know the truth. The true princess, the rightful heir, was gone. And with her absence, the first crack opened in Thesa's throne. The waves of betrayal had begun. A mother's cry in the cavern. The ocean never forgets secrets. Waves carry whispers, and even the smallest drop can tell a story. On the night Queen Selene's daughter was stolen, the sea stirred uneasily, as if it knew that something sacred had been broken. Heir, the poor maid who had just given birth, lay trembling in her chamber. Sweat poured down her face, her arms weak, yet she clung to her newborn son. She did not understand why Lady Morana had come to her, nor why the queen's sister had eyes full of cold fire. Then Morana placed the royal princess in her arms. "Take her," Morana ordered. Her voice was sharp, like coral cutting flesh. Carry her into the tunnels. Hide her. Your son will take her place in the palace. Do as I say, or both children will die. Ailia's heart pounded. She shook her head, whispering, Please, no. I cannot. Morana's grip tightened on her wrist until pain shot through her body. You have no choice. Obey me, or I will slit your son's throat where he lies. Fear swallowed Ailia's voice. With trembling arms, she held the tiny princess, her mind spinning. The baby's eyes blinked softly, unaware of the storm around her. Ailia wept as she stumbled into the dark tunnels beneath the palace, carrying both hope and doom in her arms. The tunnels were damp and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing like tears. At the end of the passage lay a great cavern, where the ocean whispered through hidden cracks. The air was heavy, the shadows alive. Morana was already waiting there, her dagger gleaming in the dim light. She stepped forward, her voice calm but deadly. Give me the princess. Ailia froze. Her arms tightened around the child. She thought of her son sleeping above, safe for now in the queen's cradle. She thought of the innocent princess, stolen from her mother's arms. Could she hand her over to death? Her silence was her answer. Morana's eyes narrowed. So be it. Loose ends must be cut. The dagger rose. Ailia's breath came fast. In that moment, she saw only one chance. Behind her was a narrow crack where the sea roared. It was a passage to the unknown, a gate to the open waters. With the last strength in her body, she kissed the princess's forehead, tears falling onto the baby's skin. Then, with a cry that tore her soul apart, she hurled the infant into the rift. The baby disappeared into the rushing waves. The sea carried her away, cradling her in its arms. Morana screamed, lunging forward, but it was too late. The ocean had claimed the princess. Steel flashed. Morana's blade pierced Ailia's chest. She fell, gasping, her eyes locked on the waters where the child had vanished. Her last breath carried a prayer, Gods of the deep, protect her. Ailia's body sank to the cavern floor. Morana wiped her blade, her face twisted with fury. Let the sea swallow her, she hissed. No one must ever know. But the sea had other plans. Far from the palace, in the quiet lagoon of Encha waters, a poor fisherman cast his nets under the moon. He was tired, his hands rough, his belly empty. Suddenly, he heard a faint cry, soft but sharp against the night. At first, he thought it was a siren's trick, for many sailors had been lured to death by such sounds. But this cry was different, it was pure, it was innocent. He waded into the water, heart beating fast. There, floating on glowing strands of kelp, was a seashell cradle. Inside lay a baby girl, her tiny hands curled, her skin shining faintly as if blessed by the gods. The fisherman gasped. The sea has sent me a child, he whispered, his eyes wide with awe. He lifted the baby gently into his arms. She did not cry but stared at him with eyes deep as the ocean itself. In that moment, he knew she was no ordinary child. He took her home and named her Nur, after the god of the waters who blessed their village. He raised her as his daughter, never knowing she was the true heir of Thesa, the stolen princess whose fate would one day shake the sea itself. And so, while the palace above drowned in fear, the lost heir slept peacefully in the arms of a poor fisherman. The ocean had hidden its secret well. But secrets do not stay hidden forever. The sea always hides secrets, but some secrets grow so big they cannot sleep under the water forever. Far away from the shining kingdom of Thesa, near a quiet fishing village, a poor fisherman named Bako lived with his wife, Nia. Their hut stood on the sandy edge where the waves kissed the land. One night, when the moon was bright and the sea restless, Bako heard a strange sound. It was not the cry of gulls or the splash of fish. It was softer, sweeter, like a baby's voice carried by the tide. He ran to the shore, and what he saw made his heart stop. A cradle of glowing seaweed floated on the water. Inside lay a tiny baby girl with hair dark as the night and skin shining like polished pearl. Around her little body, kelp wrapped like a blanket, and tiny shells gleamed like stars. Bako fell on his knees. Nia, come quickly. The gods have sent us a gift. Nia rushed out, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never carried a child of her own, though her heart had prayed for years. When she looked into the baby's face, tears ran down her cheeks. She lifted the child, warm and alive, and pressed her close. We shall call her Amora, Nia whispered, because she is grace from the sea. From that day, Amora grew in their hut as their only daughter. She was no ordinary child. She spoke to the waves before she could walk. Fish swam close when she dipped her toes in the water. Sometimes, when she laughed, the seashells near the shore trembled as if they were answering her joy. The villagers called her child of blessing. But blessings often bring shadows. When Amora was 12 years old, she began to dream strange dreams. She saw a palace of coral shining in the deep, and a crown of pearl resting on a throne. She saw women dressed in shells and gold, bowing before a queen who looked just like her. And she heard voices whispering in the current, "Thesa waits for you." She would wake, heart racing, and run to Nia. "Mother, why do I dream of the sea? Why does it call me?" Nia stroked her hair, hiding her fear. "The sea is in your blood, Amora. Perhaps you are chosen for something great." But in her heart, Nia remembered the night the waves gave them this child. She feared the gods might one day come back to claim what they had given. One evening, Amora sat on the rocks staring into the water. A shadow moved below the surface. A woman rose, half beautiful, half terrible, with long hair flowing like seaweed and eyes glowing blue. Her voice rolled like thunder and song together. "Child of the sea," she called, "do you not know who you are?" Amora trembled. "Who are you?" "I am a messenger of Mami wata, spirit of the deep. You are no child of the shore. You are heir of Thesa, stolen from the waves. Your people groan under false rule, while you live in silence. But the sea remembers. The sea does not forget." The water pulled back, and the messenger sank into the depths, leaving Amora shaking and afraid. She ran home, her heart filled with questions too heavy to carry. "Mother, who am I truly? Why do the spirits of the sea call me heir?" Nia froze. The truth she had hidden for years was rising like a storm tide. She looked at Amora's glowing eyes, so like the deep waters, and knew the time of secrets was ending. The fisherman's daughter was not meant for nets and huts. She was meant for a throne beneath the waves. And far away in Thesa, Lady Morana sat on the coral throne, her ears ringing with whispers of rebellion, her heart burning with fear that the true heir would one day return. The tide was turning. Secrets are like waves. They may hide for a time, but sooner or later they crash on the shore. The night after the sea messenger appeared, Amora could not sleep. Her heart beat like a drum in her chest, and her dreams filled with crowns and oceans. She sat by the fire, watching the flames dance, until Nia entered with tired eyes. "Mother," Amora whispered, "I beg you. Tell me who I am. Why does the sea call me heir?" Nia's hands shook. She had loved this girl as her own, had prayed for her, fed her, and carried her. But now the past returned like a storm. She sank to the mat and hid her face. "Daughter, the night you came, you were not born from my womb. You were brought to me by the waves." Amora froze. "What do you mean?" Nia's tears fell. "Your cradle was made of glowing seaweed. You came with shells and pearls tied to your body. The gods gave you to me, or perhaps they tested me. I do not know. But the moment I held you, I knew you were not mine, yet you were mine. I loved you too much to let you go." Amora's breath caught. She touched her arms, her skin, as if trying to see what was true. "So I am not of the land?" "You are of the sea, Amora," Nia said softly. "And the sea has not forgotten you." The words pierced Amora's chest like spears. Suddenly, every dream, every whisper, every fish that swam close made sense. She was not just Amora, the fisherman's daughter. She was something more, something greater, something heavier. But with truth came fear. "Mother," Amora cried, "if the sea calls me heir, then who rules now? Who sits on the throne that should be mine?" Nia shivered, remembering stories told in whispers by the elders. The kingdom beneath the waves is called Thesa. Long ago, it was ruled by Queen Seraphina, who vanished with her newborn daughter. Since then, Lady Morana has sat on the throne. Some say she is wicked. Some say she is cursed. Perhaps the throne is not hers to keep. Amora's heart thundered. The sea messenger's words came back to her, "Your people groan under false rule." That night, she stood at the shore, the moonlight painting her face silver. She spoke to the waves, her voice shaking but strong. "If I am the heir of Thesa, then I cannot hide. If my people suffer, I cannot stay silent. But how does a girl of the land return to a kingdom of the deep?" The waves gave no answer, only hissed and foamed as if laughing at her courage. The next morning, Amora walked through the village, but everything felt strange. The nets, the boats, the cries of fishermen all seemed too small for her now. Children called her name, but she hardly heard. She felt like a bird caught between two skies, land and sea, both calling her. That evening, an old man came to their hut. His eyes were cloudy with age, but his voice carried weight. "Girl," he said, "the sea stirs with your name. I dreamed last night of a throne made of coral and a crown that dripped water. You cannot hide from who you are. The spirits will guide you, but you must be brave." Amora bowed her head. The old man's dream was the same as hers. Destiny was chasing her, step by step. Nia clutched her hands, fear in her eyes. "If you go, I may never see you again. The sea takes what it claims." Amora hugged her mother tightly. "You gave me love when I had nothing. Even if the sea takes me, I will never forget I was your daughter." Her words broke Nia's heart like a shell on the rocks. But she knew no net could hold this child. Amora's journey to Thesa had begun. And far below, in the palace of coral, Lady Morana shivered in her throne as whispers of rebellion grew louder. The sea was restless. The air was awakening. Every great journey begins with one step. For Amora, that step was not on land, it was into the sea. The moon rose high, round and bright like a watchful eye. The waves pulled and pushed against the shore, as if calling her name. Amora stood barefoot at the edge, her heart pounding like a drum. Behind her, Nia clutched a shawl tight around her shoulders, her eyes full of fear and love. "Child," Nia whispered, "once you enter, there is no turning back. The sea does not return what it takes." Amora's throat tightened, but her spirit did not bend. "Mother, I was born of the sea. If it calls me now, I must answer. If I refuse, my people will suffer forever." Nia trembled, but she kissed Amora's forehead and pressed a small woven bracelet into her hand. "This is all I can give you. May it remind you that you are loved, no matter where you go." Amora slipped the bracelet onto her wrist. The rope felt warm, like it carried her mother's touch. She turned to the waves and took her first step. Cold water wrapped around her ankles. Then her knees. Then her waist. But instead of dragging her down, the sea lifted her gently, as if welcoming her home. The villagers had gathered secretly in the shadows, watching in silence. Whispers ran through them. "She walks into the sea and does not sink. She must be chosen. She must be heir." As Amora's body disappeared beneath the surface, her lungs should have burned. But instead, she found she could breathe. The water slid into her chest like air, filling her with life. Her eyes opened, and the sea glowed. Fish of every color swam around her, lighting the water with sparks of blue, gold, and green. But the most shocking change was her body. Her legs shimmered, then fused together, transforming into a long, gleaming tail. Silver scales flashed under the moonlight that filtered through the waves. She was no longer landbound. She was what she was born to be, Mermaid. Amora gasped in wonder. She swam with ease, faster than she had ever run on land. The sea cradled her like a mother, guiding her deeper into its heart. Then she heard a voice. "Daughter of the crown, You have come at last. Amora turned. A dolphin circled her, its eyes wise and kind. Beside it swam a great sea turtle, its shell carved with ancient markings. These were no ordinary creatures. They were guardians. The dolphin spoke again, its voice clear in her mind. I am Lairos, messenger of the sea. This is Elder Chelu, keeper of memory. We have waited many tides for your return. Amora blinked. You can speak. The turtle gave a slow nod. The sea speaks in many ways. Only its true children can hear. And you, child, are the lost heir of Thesa. The throne awaits you. Amora's heart raced. But how can I rule? I know nothing of kingdoms. I am only a girl of the land. Lairos clicked softly, like laughter. A true queen is not born knowing. She is shaped by trial. The sea will test you, and only if you endure will you be worthy. As if to prove the words, the water around them grew darker. From the shadows, shapes moved, sharp, swift, dangerous. A school of barracudas, their teeth flashing like knives, rushed toward her. Amora's blood turned cold. She had no weapon, no shield. Instinct screamed at her to flee, but something inside her held firm. She raised her hand. To her shock, the water obeyed. A current swirled from her palm, pushing the barracudas back. They scattered into the darkness, their attack broken. Lairos and Chelu bowed their heads. The sea already answers to you, child. This is the mark of the true heir. Amora stared at her hands, trembling. She had power she never knew. But power meant responsibility. And responsibility meant danger. Far below, where coral palaces glowed faintly in the dark, Lady Morana stirred. Her spies had whispered of the heir. Her crown felt heavy. Her throne felt unsteady. The sea was awakening. And Amora's battle had only begun. A kingdom without truth is like a ship without a compass. It sails, but it is lost. Deep under the waves, in the glowing city of Thesa, lies a throne built on lies. Amora followed Lairos the dolphin and Elder Chelu the turtle into the heart of the sea. The water grew brighter as they swam. Strange towers of coral rose like castles. Pearls as big as fists shimmered in the walls. Schools of glowing fish lit the streets, guiding the way like lanterns. Amora's eyes widened. This is not a dream. This is my kingdom. But not everyone welcomed her. At the gates of a grand palace carved from shining shells, guards with spears crossed their arms. Their tails were dark green, their eyes cold. Who enters the palace of Lady Morana? One demanded. Lairos swam forward. This is Amora, daughter of the sea. The tide has chosen her. The guards laughed. The throne already has a queen. A child of land cannot change that. Before Amora could answer, the gates opened with a hiss of current. Out swam Lady Morana. Her beauty was sharp, like broken glass. Her long hair floated behind her like black smoke. Her crown of twisted coral shone with red gems that pulsed like hearts. But her eyes, dark and endless, held secrets too heavy to bear. Ah, Morana said softly, her voice carrying like a song, yet cutting like a blade. The whispers were true. The lost child has returned. Amora's chest tightened. She bowed slightly. I came to learn who I am. Morana's lips curved into a smile that did not reach her eyes. And who told you this tale? A dolphin? A turtle? Creatures of dreams. Thesa is mine, child. I saved it when your so-called parents drowned. The people follow me, not ghosts of the past. Her words stung, but Amora held her ground. If you rule with truth, then let the sea itself decide who the rightful heir is. Gasps rippled among the guards. No one had ever spoken to Lady Morana like that. For a heartbeat, silence fell. Then Morana clapped her hands. The water trembled. From the palace walls, long chains of glowing seaweed slithered like snakes. They wrapped around Amora's arms and tail, pulling her down. You are bold, Morana whispered, swimming close, her face inches from Amora's. But boldness is not power. You are nothing more than a land child playing queen. If you wish to prove otherwise, you must face the trial of tides. The chains tightened, dragging Amora lower into the dark. Lairos and Chelu shouted, but the guards held them back. Amora struggled, but she did not beg. Her voice rang clear through the water. If trial is the way, then I accept. But remember this, Morana, the sea itself will judge us both. Morana's smile froze. For the first time, a shadow of doubt flickered in her eyes. The guards dragged Amora through winding tunnels until they reached a vast arena of stone, hidden beneath the palace. The floor was covered in white sand, and sharp rocks rose like teeth from the ground. The water here was heavy, thick with the weight of old battles. From above, citizens of Thesa gathered to watch. Merfolk pressed against the walls, their whispers buzzing. Some looked curious. Some afraid. A few, hopeful. In the center of the arena, Amora was thrown to the sand. The trial of tides begins, a voice announced. The sand shifted beneath her. From the darkness of the seabed, a great shadow rose. A monstrous creature, half eel and half shark, its body covered in scars, its mouth lined with endless teeth. Its roar shook the water. Amora's heart thudded. She had no weapon. No shield. Only her will. Above, Morana leaned on her throne of coral, her smile cruel. Let us see if the sea still claims you, child. The beast lunged forward. Amora's trial had begun. The crowd held its breath. The arena shook as the monster lunged. Its jaws opened wide, teeth sharp as spears. Amora had only seconds to move. She rolled across the sand, the beast snapping where she had been. The force of the water pushed her back, but she refused to give in. I cannot fight this with strength, she thought. I must listen to the sea. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she shut out the roars, the jeers, the fear. She listened. Deep inside, she felt it, the heartbeat of the ocean. It pulsed through her veins, steady and strong. The monster came again, faster. Amora opened her eyes. She did not swim away this time. She swam forward. The crowd gasped. At the last moment, Amora lifted her hands. A stream of glowing bubbles rushed out, circling the beast. The water around her shimmered like light caught in glass. The bubbles wrapped the creature's body, not to harm, but to calm. The beast thrashed, confused. Then its movements slowed. Its yellow eyes met hers. Something in them softened. Whispers rose from the crowd. She commands the sea. She carries the tide's gift. Amora touched the creature's head gently. You are not my enemy. You are a child of the ocean, like me. The beast lowered itself to the sand, bowing. The trial was over. The sea had chosen. Morana's face turned pale. Her smile vanished. No, she shouted, rising from her throne. Tricks and illusions. She cannot be queen, but the people no longer looked at Morana. Their eyes were on Amora. The ground trembled. The walls of the arena glowed with light. Pearls cracked open, releasing streams of silver water. The current lifted Amora high above the crowd, her hair flowing like waves. An ancient voice echoed through the chamber. It was not one voice, but many, the voices of the sea itself. The heir has returned. The throne belongs to her. The crowd bowed, tails bent in respect. Even the guards lowered their spears. Morana screamed, rushing forward. But the great beast rose, blocking her path. Its roar shook the palace. Fear crossed her face for the first time. She swam back, her crown slipping from her head. The current carried the crown to Amora. It rested gently on her hair. Amora looked around. She saw Lairos, who nodded with pride. Elder Chelu's eyes glistened with tears. She saw the people, her people, waiting, hoping. She spoke, her voice clear and strong. This kingdom was built on lies. But no more. I am Amora, child of both land and sea. I will rule with truth, with justice, and with love. The sea remembers me, and I will never forget it." The arena shook with cheers. Songs rose from the crowd, old songs that had been silent for years. The water itself seemed to sing with them. As the people celebrated, Morana fled into the shadows, her power broken. Some said she vanished into the deep trenches where light never reached. Others whispered she would one day return. But for now, peace had come. Amora swam to the throne of Thesa. She sat upon it, not with pride, but with humility. The glowing city stretched before her, no longer strange, but home. Lyros swam close. "You did not fight with anger. You fought with mercy. That is why the sea chose you." Amora smiled. "A kingdom without mercy is just another cage. I will not let my people live in chains of fear." Elder Chelu lifted his flippers high. "Long live Queen Amora, the tide-born." The crowd repeated his cry. "Long live Queen Amora." Above the palace, the surface of the sea rippled with light. Far away, on land, the same light touched the waves at the shore, reminding both worlds of the bond they shared. Amora closed her eyes. She could feel the sea's heartbeat, steady and eternal. She was no longer lost. She had found her place. And so the sea remembered its true queen.